Hello, beautiful souls. Thank you so much for dropping by this video. This is about my continued exploration of a comment I received online and how it's really led to some pretty deep insight for me about the whole Neo-Advaita game. To anyone who's new to this channel is about the difference between authentic non-duality, often known as Advaita Vedanta, and nonsense non-duality, often called Neo-Advaita. So for anyone who hasn't seen my last couple of videos, short version, I joined a Buddhist discussion group and I posted how I've suffered a lot and how part of what was drawing me to Buddhist philosophy was that it was very much about the middle path, about not having extremes of chasing, altered states, which I had experienced a lot of in Neo-Advaita. And I said how I was just looking for that peace and wholeness. And someone responded, with respect, I understand the practical, I forget the exact words, the practical trajectory of your path. And peace and wholeness are the last junk that need to be thrown out. And this little simple comment really threw me for a loop, and I've really been sitting with it and unpacking a lot. And the latest thing I've been unpacking is the absolute sheer insanity on my end of blindly following and listening to spiritual teachers. Because that's basically where I got in trouble, and I think everyone in the Neo-Advaita thing is we didn't have sufficient discernment. Now, I'm not judging myself, and I'm not judging other people. We did the best we could, but at some point, somehow we blindly started to follow and believe these various teachers. In some way, we gave power away. It may have been a gradual process, or it may have been all at once, like, oh my God, this person's enlightened. My first Neo-Advaita experience, it was literally my second or third time there, where I just had a powerful spiritual experience, and I'm like, oh my God, these people know what's up. And I just literally surrendered, like, completely. That was very dramatic. I think for other people, it's much more gradual. But so this guy drops by what I wrote, offers ridiculous, stupid, insane advice that's contrary to the teachings of the Buddha, contrary to any traditional Advaita teacher. And in the past, I would have fucking listened to him, because the way he came in and presented himself, I'm actually going to read it again because it's a little bit of a game that he played. I'm grateful I didn't fall for it this time, and 10 years ago, I might have fallen for it. With respect and practical understanding of your journey, peace and wholeness is the last junk we need to let go of. So right from the start, this person, they start off nicely, with respect. And then they say, and a practical understanding of your journey. So this person basically is implying that they understand my journey. He's kind of asserting, hey, I understand your journey. Here's what you need to do. So right from the start, this stranger is coming in and trying to establish some kind of authority. And 10 years ago, I was desperate. When I was involved in Neo-Advaita, I was desperate. I would have and did listen to anybody who could spout something that sounded even remotely spiritual, because I was drowning in suffering. So if I'd read this 10 years ago, I'd be like, oh, wow, this guy here, I'll be me 10 years ago and the person writes, with respect. I'm like, oh, that's really nice. And a practical understanding of your journey. Oh my God, I shared myself really deeply, and this person understands my journey. the guy, because I don't understand it. I don't know what I need to do. What should I do? And then peace and wholeness is the last junk we need to let go of. Whoa, that's so deep. Oh my God. Like peace and wholeness must not be the goal. They must be like something that gets in the way of enlightenment. And then I would have taken a look. I'm like, who is this guy? And then I look, online, on the platform that this person wrote. I'm like, oh my God, they have over 1 million views. Oh my God, they're a contributor in all these different spiritual spaces. Oh my God, they're in multiple spaces. They're a writer and they've got over 1 million views. And they understand my journey. Now, that's how I used to think maybe 10 years ago, because I was desperate and lost and confused and suffering, and I had no discernment. So I just kind of, if anyone said something that I even thought had an ounce of a chance of helping, or if I even thought, oh my gosh, this person is awake, then I would just follow it. And it almost destroyed me. And I'm grateful I finally got some discernment. And now I can just recognize spiritual nonsense. It's not even spiritual, but spiritual nonsense. I just recognize it immediately. I just start to feel sick to my stomach. So, Yoshi, hi. So, now, and I did this over and over and over and over again with different Neo-Advaita teachers, and even not Neo-Advaita teachers, with like the latest spiritual healing technique, or just whatever spiritual book I found. I just had lack of discernment. And it's interesting. I was listening to a talk by a Buddhist monk, and the Buddha. It's written that the Buddha talked about that it's very important to know who to trust in the spiritual world, and it's not always easy. And so it's written that the Buddha said the way to trust is to study someone's character, and that can be difficult. But one thing to look for is, how detached are they from the world? Not how averse, but how non-enmeshed are they in the world? And that's a good indicator of someone whom you can trust. Obviously not 100%. But I had no criteria. It was just someone sounded spiritual, sounded awake. Because, like I said, I was desperate and looking for salvation. And now, in hindsight, I can see, oh my God, that what I was doing was crazy. And I don't say that to be mean to myself. I was just desperate. I didn't know what else to do. But right here, right now, looking back and looking how I would have reacted, it truly is kind of an insanity. It's like wandering down the street and like walking up to strangers and being like, hey, will you be my doctor and perform surgery on me? Right? If we're going to seek out a doctor's help, hopefully we do a little research. With doctors, it's a little easier because they have to pass a set of exams, but we certainly wouldn't go to an unlicensed physician for surgery or to put chemicals in our body. A lack of humility because there is an aversion to our humanity. Yes. Yeah. Beautifully said, Ephonics. this, and they'll even call it this radical non-dual belief. There's this pushing of it. There's a constant pushing of it. It reminds me, I used to hang out with someone who was a part of a Neo-Advaita satsang, and we would have good talks because he was very much in his heart. And we'd talk about God and devotion and life, and then every now and then it's like he couldn't help himself. He would say, I struggle with this, this, and this. But who am I? I am that. And like the conversation would go on for 10 minutes, and then it would start to get to be like a norm, just like two people talking about the spiritual path, talking about God. And then it's almost like he was possessed, and he'd be like, I'd say, oh, I'm really struggling with something. And then out of the blue, he would say, who is it who's struggling? It was just like this. The energy of it was very different. It was almost as if he was possessed. And Ephonics, I think, says it very well, is that there's this need to constantly push a belief system, which is why I've often said that it's like a religion. And yeah. So thank you, everyone. Tonight's going to be a short chit chat. That's my latest revelation about this. And it's just one comment, 2 sentences that this person made. But it hit me so deeply. And so I've really just been sitting with it and unpacking it. And I'm really seeing the insanity of where this person is coming from. And I'm really seeing the insanity of where I used to come from. So where I am, New Year's happens in 4 hours and 45 minutes. Some of you already may be in the new year. Some of you will watch this video in the new year. Whatever that means, because really it's so arbitrary, but regardless. But there's something beautiful and sweet about it. In fact, that's kind of how Neo-Advaita works, is it deconstructs everything and be like, New Year's doesn't matter. It's just an arbitrary delineation of time. It actually has no significance. And there's some truth to that. And today, as I've gone throughout my day, it's been really sweet wishing people a happy New Year's, making jokes with people of like, enjoy the rest of the year, or I wonder if we'll make it to next year. It's just kind of fun. And there's a way in which social traditions and interactions can just kind of create positive momentum and flow. And I'm not saying surrender to culture, but pleasantries and relating and but Neo-Advaita deconstructs everything and leaves us with nothing. It's funny because today I was like, why am I wishing people Happy New Year's? I'm not into it. It doesn't really matter. The whole thing of a new year, it's just an arbitrary, I had those thoughts and I was like, well, but it just feels good. And it doesn't seem to really be hurting anybody. Yoshi, truth includes everything. And that would be non-duality, friends. That which includes everything, including social rituals and including individuality. Thank you, beautiful souls. Ephonics, I think it's your first time speaking up in the channel. Thanks for saying hi and sharing your thoughts. There were a lot of comments I didn't get to tonight. And thank you, everyone, for accompanying me on this journey. Blessings.